Marcellus Vernon Wiley Sr., the Hall of Famer, sitting here, joined by my man George Sedano.
What up, what up?
Jorge Sedano on some sides.
You know how it works.
West side. And we got my man Mike Golick Jr. in the house.
No other alternate pronunciations, unfortunately. Straight up.
And Golick has been dressing down by the day.
Slowly but surely, I am settling more into Los Angeles. It feels good.
I think you got that members only on, too, right there. All right, let's get right into it with Going Places, presented by Toyota. And James Harden and the Rockets, yeah, okay, they got lucky. They beat my Clippers for their 14th straight win. Harden dropped 25 points for the 10th straight game and did this to poor Wesley Johnson.
Come on.
Oh, hide your wife, hide your kids. The Clippers put their tape on the locker room door, so there was no drama post-game. Thank you. Before the game, though, the Beard, he had this to say.
It's probably the best team I've ever been a part of, and from top to bottom, and the chemistry that we have, including with the coaching staff, it's we're having a lot of fun.
Do you expect big things from this team?
Yeah. This is a year for sure.
All right, George, you agree with Harden that this is the Rockets' year?
Well, if we're talking about them actually competing for a championship legitimately, yes, it is the Rockets' year. I don't necessarily think, I've told you this before, I don't think they can beat the Warriors. But if they get home court advantage, all of a sudden that thing gets a little more dicey. They've won 14 straight. They've done it multiple times. There's only 5 teams in the history of the sport that have done it. 2 of those have won championships. You're talking about a team that everyone talks about, in the postseason, they're going to, flounder, whatever. Chris Paul's numbers in the postseason are good. He hasn't had the teams necessarily, sorry, Marcellus, that have been able to, he's been able to carry across the finish line. But this team defensively is top 10 right now. We know how good they are offensively. Arguably the best ever right now.
History aside, talking about the teams as they're playing this year, in the current moment, in the season series, you're going to sit there and still say Golden State's favorite? Are they just that much more talented than what you see from Houston?
Well, I think continuity matters, right? So I think you've been there, you've done that, you won this championship as a group and as a unit, and I think that these guys know how to pace themselves. As great as the Rockets have been, I believe 33-3 when Paul and Harden are starting together, you still have to deal with that juggernaut who knows how to pace themselves.
What do you think, Mike?
But I think the important thing is this is what the NBA needs right now, too. You've got legitimate doubt for the first time in a while since we had some of those Cavaliers teams of old the year they won the championship, because that was all the conversation. Coming off the championship this year before we hit free agency, what was every trade and move measured against? Are they actually good enough to beat Golden State? And for the first time, we have to think about the answer.
Yeah, you got to respect Daryl Morey for doing that in construction, and during the trade, he had an opportunity to go upgrade this team again. Now you see solo ISO Joe Johnson out there making 3-pointers in the game. I respect what they have in construction. Here's the thing, though. This whole home court advantage means nothing to these NBA players anymore. You're not going to fatigue yourself to go out there for 82 games to say we got one swing game when all you have to do is win one on the other team's court, and now you have home court advantage. And we know Golden State can go into Houston and win games. So I don't think it's really about home court. I just thinking about who's going to be healthy, who's going to be hot, and who's really believing in this style of NBA. They shoot the 3-ball better than Golden State does. Like, we call them Splash Brothers. We know they're the best pure shooters. They're better shooters in terms of field goal attempts and field goals made from the 3-point line. Does that come into play?
Marcellus, people forget that we marvel at what Golden State's done. Mike D'Antoni is the godfather of this thing.
Right. That's my way.
He started this whole thing with the Phoenix Suns. They just didn't end up winning the championship. But to me, defensively is where this thing should be discussed. Because, again, they're a top 10 team defensively on defensive rating. Most teams, I think there's only 3 outliers in the modern NBA that have won championships outside of that. So at least it puts them in that conversation. Something we never talk about with D'Antoni, teams' defense.
And I think the difficult part about all this, though, is overcoming that championship resume and pedigree with Golden State, because there's no substitute for having seen and experienced things on the stage that goes at that championship level. It's why the Patriots are always so good, because not only have they been through all of these different little basketball situations, they've been through them in the moments that make championships on those big stages, something that Houston, the parts involved in this, haven't experienced yet.
Oh, this championship talk takes me back to, poor Spurs. Remember those guys? Remember the champions? Won championship in the last 10 years, and when it rains, it pours. LaMarcus Aldridge landed awkwardly after defending Rajon Rondo's driving layup in the first quarter. Tried to play through the pain and came in and came out, came in and came out the game before finally heading to the locker room with a sprained ankle. George, What does this injury mean to the Spurs' chances?
It's not good, that's for sure. We're going to test the limits of how great a coach Greg Popovich is now, because this team, by the way, again, they've been a fantastic offensive team this year, even without Kawhi Leonard, and that's centered around LaMarcus Aldridge. But when he's not in the lineup, the few minutes he's not in there, they're the third worst offensive team in the NBA.
Bums.
That's not pretty. Now, I don't think they're going to be the 27th best offense moving forward if he misses significant time, because Popovich can make some magic potentially, but you're going to count on a lot of old dudes and some inexperienced dudes to make that happen.
Unfortunately, well, I should say, fortunately, this is what the Spurs do best, right? This is what Greg Popovich was the pioneer of, with rest and managing older veteran players on his roster. And so you couple some of the injuries with it, and it makes it difficult. But this, I have to imagine the hot tub at the Spurs facility is used to looking like a triage unit at time with these guys, with the geriatric ward in there. So this is something that they do, and they do very well. It's just going to be a matter of now the timeline as the season end shrinks.
Yeah, but you're based on your competition. It's a relative scale always in athletics. And think about this. From the third seed all the way to out the playoffs, only 2.5 games separate you. So now you don't have Kawhi. You're like, all right, we're going to put this together with glue and sticks. Now we don't have LaMarcus Aldridge, who knows for how long. But look at that. You're out the playoffs. Right now, the Clippers, damn it. Why y'all update this already? But the point is, a few games from now, all of a sudden, you're out of the playoffs. And we see right now what the Pelicans are doing without Boogie Cousins. They're moving up the charts. This is going to be interesting.
But would it be the Spurs, the most Spurs thing ever, for them to somehow miss the playoffs because of this bad luck, and all of a sudden they like win the lottery or something like that, and Pop's like, I'm back. I'm still here. Kawhi, you want to get traded? Get out of here. We got somebody new.
We can Tim Duncan this all over.
Right. Well, we'll see what kind of coach Pop is. And I don't even think you can use this situation as a demerit. Only positives can come out of this situation when you're talking about Pop as a coach. Because, look, he just doesn't have the horses right now. Now, let's move on to my sport. And John Gruden is back in the coaching seat in the NFL, and it's been a while since he was there. He made it no secret at the NFL Combine this week that he would like to keep things old school, like in 1998 old school. Listen to Gruden.
Man, I'm trying to throw the game back to 1998. You know, really, as a broadcaster, I went around and observed every team, asked a lot of questions, took a look at the facilities, how they're doing business. There's a stack of analytical data, or data, however you want to say that word, that people don't even know how to read it. I still think doing things the old-fashioned way is a good way, and we're going to try to lean the needle that way a little bit.
Oh, you talking my language right there. 1998. Oh, boy, that's when I still have some legs and less gut, boy. I was out there, Buffalo Bills, second year in John Gruden. I remember those days. And watch your boy. Hey,
get him.
What you guys are witnessing is my first sack in the NFL ever. Look at that. Hey, I don't know what I'm doing.
Wow, look at that.
Look at that jiggle.
That is preparation meets opportunity. You were ready for that moment.
Yeah, well, and guess who that is? That is the Hall of Famer, the real Hall of Famer, Steve Young, in that moment.
And in a win, it looks like.
Come on, #1 defense in the league that year. Respect. So 1998 for you guys takes you back where?
I was 20 years old, trying to sneak in with some fake ID somewhere, I'm sure. That's how that worked.
I get how you do it.
Yeah, I think I was 9 at that point, trying to see if I could catch some of the deleted scenes from Titanic as they went on there. That was when a lot of boys became men.
Speaking of which, if we want to go back to 1998.
Oh, yeah, I would love to go back. Get some more of that money.
Just to give
me
you
some of that money
an idea of what life was like in 1998. The top-grossing movie was Titanic.
I cried.
Jojo.
I cried.
And, of course, the year-end 1998 Billboard #1 album was the Titanic.
Nah, it was really No Limit, Master P, but go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Celine says that ain't the case, all right?
Okay, I'm listening.
Notable TV series premiere. Carson Daly wasn't on the Today Show. He was on TRL.
That was Law and Order still.
The sexiest man alive was Han Solo. Harrison Ford.
Ain't nothing changed.
All hail Clooney.
Average cost of gas, $1.06.
Now that's what we need again.
$1.06, and then Google was also founded in 1998.
Damn, Google just
We were still using like Lycos or Yahoo back then.
They weren't even listening to our conversations and tailoring my ads yet.
America Online 2.0. You got mail. You got mail, Marcellus.
Yeah, were we all pirating music at that point?
Still, I believe Napster was a thing.
Oh, my God.
I never did that.
Okay, let's try and answer this question, I guess, in X's and O's, and Gruden saying saying I'm going to keep it old school. You think that works, Goalie?
I think it works if it's a part of your process. Like if you're telling me you want to still conduct your practices with a degree of toughness in there. I played with Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers in their training camp, one of the toughest training camps around the league, even with the new stipulations in the collective bargaining agreement. But if you're trying to ignore progress, if you're trying to ignore the information at your disposal that helps you make better decisions, both in personnel and in on-field decision-making, that's a hard thing to sell to players, to say we're willingly going to ignore these things that might give us a better shot.
Now, Gruden was selling it, right? Like, he was up there. He was owning the room.
Yep.
He owned the podium, but I wasn't buying any of it.
None of it?
The reality is this, man. Look, yes, this was a man that the last time he coached football, the fullback was still a thing.
And he said he's bringing it back,
right,
too.
And that, I don't know how that's necessarily going to work, okay? But here's the thing. I had this conversation on the radio show this morning. Actually, Amin, who... in between pulled hammies, came on the radio show.
I'm ready for Amin anytime he wants a 40.
But he brought up a great point on the show, which was this, which is this is partially on the Raiders analytics department, not being able to present this information in a way that's easily digestible for a coach like John Gruden to understand. So it's partially on that. Maybe they need to reevaluate the guys they got in that particular aspect of their organization. But yeah, John Gruden sounds old, man. No. You can't be doing stuff like you were doing 20 years ago and expect to have real success.
You stop. First of all, what gets you there is what's got you there. And what got him there are these kind of deep thoughts and ways of him going at the game of football. He's not going to get caught up in calculators, not going to get caught up in numbers and analytics. And like he said, you're not going to tell me what I think of a player and change my opinion. I don't care what numbers you bring into it. I think his way was a winning way. This is a coach that was a championship coach. This was a coach that was traded away for 2 #1 picks because he's that talented. He's been poaching every team in the league, calling it the Gruden quarterback talk. But in reality, he's out there really learning what everyone is doing. And he covered all bases saying this: I got someone smart in that room coming up with those numbers like you, crunching them, being a nerd, and they'll come in here in this.
Why you gotta be a nerd?
Because they'll come in with this nerd talk. He's gonna say, you know what? I know you think he's good, but he's really not that good. Gruden's gonna say, all right, thanks for the information.
Well, but Doug Peterson talked about how he used analytics not only just for evaluation of players, but in-game situations where he's like, hey, my analytics guy would tell me, all right, we got a 60% chance to succeed if we run this play against this coverage and this defense. Like, things like that are important these days.
And I think even more so, you almost have to treat this. You have to have a little Leo DiCaprio. It's got to be Inception. You've got to present that information in a way that makes it seem organic to John Gruden, where all of a sudden you're not feeding me a bunch of numbers. You're telling me something that is reaffirming what I already believe and know while giving me something new. You got to bacon wrap it a little bit.
I like that. If it supports what I'm talking about, give me the intel. But if it's for conversion, I'm going to trust what got me there. I'm John Gruden.
Spider line to banana.
Yeah, exactly. You better run that play until it doesn't work in the new NFL. Let's talk about some bad news right here. Got me all worked up. It's time for 3 years, and the first year, oh, y'all really gonna get me mad.
Uh-oh.
DeAndre Jordan, what y'all doing?
Oh, my God.
Clippers.